Hi, welcome to my look back on Iron Man 2, the second of my movie reviews about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is now really behind schedule, but I promise I'm catching up. In general, I think everyone's going to agree Iron Man 2 was a bit of a misstep. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it did have some improvements and it did have some of the stuff that I liked from the first one. One of the things I really liked was that the first trailer that came out for the second one uses a different joke, which they don't use in the film. And I like it when films do that, because I'm sick of watching a trailer and you've basically got the entire outline of the movie in front of you. And the trailer for Iron Man 2, they have a little joke where Gwyneth Paltrow gives the Iron Man mask a kiss and then throws it out the plane, which I thought was really funny. And then it's not in the movie because it doesn't work with the way they've got that scene set up. So the plot for the second one is essentially that there's an evil version of Tony Stark who's trying to make suits for nefarious purposes. One of the things that I don't like about the second one is it sidesteps what I saw as the moral ambiguity which they wove into the thread of the first one. You have Sam Rockwell playing Justin Hammer, who's they do very well. Instead of trying to make him like an evil Tony Stark, they just make him Tony Stark if he wasn't inherently likeable and charismatic and Robert Downey Jr.-y. And Sam Rockwell does a really good job with that. And of course, he gets to do a bit of dancing as well, because it's Sam Rockwell. And so maybe that was one of the things that I felt was lacking, was a really good villain. You've also got Mickey Rourke, who again seems to be having a lot of fun playing a Russian who does not like things, who is very bad. It's a bit lazy in an American movie to make the Russian the villain, but because he's not at the foreground for most of it, he's sort of simmering away in the background, it doesn't give it enough of a sense of menace. Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer is the main splashy, visible antagonist to Tony Stark. And I do like Sam Rockwell, he's generally good in everything. And one of my favourite scenes in any of the Marvel movies is in Iron Man 2, where he's showing off all his different weapons to Rhodey, to Don Cheadle. And it's such a wonderful, over-the-top, manic, dancey, egotistical performance. It draws me in and it makes me smile every time I watch it. You've got John Slattery playing Howard Stark in some of the sort of the flashback kind of scenes. And after I watched Iron Man 2 ages ago for the first time, and I'm now starting to get into Mad Men, and John Slattery in it plays Roger Sterling, who is a very sort of Howard Stark character. And again, that's another way I felt that they missed a trick, because the character they've got for Howard Stark is an old-fashioned military, industrial, complex character. These are the villains of the 21st century. The arms industry is utterly indefensible, and they don't make as much of it as they could have. Whereas I've said in the first one, I felt that there was an anti-American imperialism undertone. And I don't know, it feels like there could have been that in this one as well. It could have given a bit more depth to the story, but they decided that they just avoid it. Like I say, having watched Mad Men, which is amazing, I would love to see just a little mini-series of Howard Stark, played by John Slattery, with that sort of horrible, chauvinistic 60s American conservative attitude. I think it would be really entertaining to watch. Scarlett Johansson is introduced in this one for the first time as the Scarlet Witch. No, not as the Scarlet Witch, what am I talking about? Black Widow. She plays Natasha Romanoff. And I've been fairly consistently underwhelmed by Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow. I don't think that she has the presence on screen to convincingly portray a Russian spy. She should be more imposing. And I think that her performance in Iron Man 2 is the worst that she does in all of the Marvel movies. She gets better on in the later ones, but she seems to be trying to just smoulder through everything, and it doesn't work for me. It strikes a discord. The second film gives a bigger role to Agent Coulson, played by Clark Gregg, who was one of the standout characters for me in the original Marvel movies. It's a lovely little offbeat, quirky look at a Fed, and I've always thought that in the comics and in the TV show now and in the Marvel movies, S.H.I.E.L.D. works best when it's a federal agency, which doesn't work the way federal agencies should, because your military, your CIA, your MI6, you know, everything is done by procedures. There's procedures for everything, there's set protocols, but when you're dealing with superheroes, the whole idea is so fundamentally batshit crazy that you can't have set protocols. So S.H.I.E.L.D. should, to me, feel like an agency that's making it up as it's going along. And I get that from Coulson. He just seems like very capable, but not boring. The film in general's big flaw for me is that it doesn't pull you forward the way the first one does. It's not as tightly plotted, and the pacing is just, it's just not good enough. It's too slow. It doesn't build to a climax the way the first one did, although the climax that it does come to is better than the first one. The big final splashy CGI battle at the end of the second one is better than the first one. But on the way there, the first one grabbed you and made you follow it, and you were desperate to know what happened next. It really did thrill you, whereas the second one doesn't. You get a thrill from watching Robert Downey Jr. having a whale of a time as Tony Stark, and again, I love the interplay between him and Gwyneth Paltrow. It's still, even to this point, it's one of the highlights for me in the Marvel movies, is watching those two on screen together is always good. The birthday party that they put into this one feels absolutely out of place. I can see what they were trying to do. They were trying to give some depth and some despair to the character. It just didn't work for me. It was jarring. It was so out of place. It sets up the fight between Rhodey and Tony, and it feels like it was there just to do that, and it doesn't really work. I also think that the tech that they use in the movie, for example, in the first one, Tony's got a table which is about the size of this couch, and above it there's a holographic display which he uses to fiddle around a design with. And in the second one, that's gone from being one tabletop to basically half an aircraft carrier is a holographic display that he can walk around in. Now, I realise that tech is moving faster and faster and faster every day, but to go from one to the other without any sort of reveal, to me felt like cheating. It felt like the writers went, let's just make it bigger, let's just make it bigger, and it doesn't have a progression for me. It's too much of a leap. Like I said, I'm a little bit behind, so hopefully in a couple of days we will get the review for Thor. Thanks for watching.